Hey guys, Matt here. So earlier this week, I did a video on Hyliion in which I gave my updated opinion on the stock as well as what I want to see in earnings next week. And as I promised, today I'm going to do the same thing for Gevo. Gevo is one of the more interesting stocks in my portfolio. And so, I want to talk about it and give you guys an update on how I feel about it. Now, I do have a whole playlist on Gevo, which you can watch up here if you want to catch up. But basically, just to clear the air, none of what I'm about to say is new information. I'm not gonna, Gevo hasn't had any recent news anyway, so none of what I'm about to say is like new information except for the expectation part, in my opinion. So, in other words, everything I'm about to say is stuff I've said previously in another video. I just want to put everything together into one video just so you guys can get the full picture. So, let's talk about Gevo. Now, let me tell you what Gevo is. And basically what Gevo does, this is his website. And now you will see lots of different tabs here, lots of different stuff, which may be confusing if you've never heard of Gevo before. But I will simplify things. Basically, Gevo's whole deal is it deals with renewable liquid fuels. So we're talking about, renewable fuels for aviation, for jets, renewable fuel for cars, anything that has to do with renewable liquid fuel. Now, before I go any further, let's take care of the elephant in the room. Gevo has actually been public for 10 years. And you can see by this stock chart that it has not done well. As a matter of fact, if you are watching this video and you've owned Gevo anytime before, I would say, anytime before this year or last year, I can see why you're mad. I can see why you wouldn't want anything to do with the stock at all. As a matter of fact, there's a website here, Split History. Now, this doesn't go all the way back to the IPO. This basically goes back 10 years, but it's close enough. Gevo IPO'd in February of 2011, but the idea is that if you put $10,000 into Gevo 10 years ago, well, almost 10 years ago, right now you would have $1.71. So that should tell you everything you need to know about how well Gevo has performed or not performed since the IPO. As a matter of fact, now I'm not gonna read all this, but the whole gist of this, you can pause and read this if you want to, is that Gevo in its history had 3 reverse splits, which is not good at all. And we're talking a 1 for 15 reverse split. We're talking a 1 for 20 reverse split, and another 1 for 20 reverse split. And this was all done just so Gevo could stay on the NASDAQ, just so Gevo could stay relevant. If it wasn't for all this, Gevo would be well in the penny stock territory right now. So, yes, if you have anything negative to say about Gevo in its past 10 years, don't worry, I agree. You don't have to convince me. So, why am I even talking about Gevo now? Well, Gevo, in my opinion, is a perfect example of a turnaround play. Huge emphasis on the turnaround. And as a matter of fact, in the past 2 years or so, and we're going to go over all this in a second, I would say that Gevo has positioned itself for quite a comeback. Now, it hasn't done the comeback yet. It's positioned itself for quite a comeback that I think by 2024, investors will be very happy that they put money into the stock. Well, current investors, not people who invested back in 2011. People who invest right now. Let me explain. Now, before I get into that, let's take a look at its income statement. We're going to take a look at its annual one first. And you can see, since 2017, you can see Gevo starting to sort of break out a little bit as far as revenue, a bit of a pullback in 2019, and then, 2020 hit and everything went to shit. Now, what happened is, and I don't have any slides to show you, but Gevo built a facility in, I think, Luverne, in which it started producing isobutanol, which was used to make aviation fuel. And that was how it was making money for the past couple of years. It started really taking off in 2018. 2019 had a bit of a pullback, and then disaster sort of struck in 2020 when COVID hit, and their Luverne facility got shut down in 2020, I think March. And it stayed shut down until June of this year. And so everything that Gevo had to make money, all the little bit of money that Gevo was making the past couple of years was instantly shut down We're going to talk about that. As a matter of fact, let's talk about that now. And since then, quarterly, like you can see, it was actually, like, this was terrible. Like, it got worse and worse and worse. And, like, in March, it was absolutely pathetic. I'll be the first to admit that. However, in June, their Luverne facility came back online. We will talk about that towards the end, towards my expectations. But in June, their facility came back online, and their ability to make money came back. Now, if that was all it was, if that was everything good that recently happened to Gevo, yeah, I wouldn't want anything to do with the stock either. But, I mean, that's not the case. I own about 340 shares of Gevo. Now, it's not a lot money-wise, but as far as share-wise, yeah, I put some shares into it. Gevo right now, financially, is performing like hot garbage. However, let me show you this right here. Now, if you've been following my channel for some period of time, you already know this. You've seen this dozens of times before, but if you're new to this, this is where I'm putting all my opinions together, so we're going to talk about this now. Gevo has signed a bunch of take-or-pay contracts, 1.6 billion as of August. Now, this PDF is as of August, and we're going to get into more recent stuff after that. 1.6 billion in take-or-pay contracts in place. Now, these are contracts that are already in place, and if the companies decide to pull out of the contracts, they still have to pay a certain amount of money. So this is guaranteed money coming into Gevo as long as Gevo holds up their end of the bargain, and we'll talk about that bargain in a second. Now, again, these are signed contracts, and we're talking big name customers like the City of Seattle. We're talking Delta, SAS, Total, Trafigura, Titan, NetJet. Now, let me scroll up here just in case my stupid face is blocking it. But yeah, you can see a bunch of contracts signed with big name companies. Now, this right here is part of their Net Zero 1 project, which I'll show you right now. So their Net Zero 1 project is basically a plant that they're building. Now, it's not just a plant, it's a let's talk about it. It's a plant that will be entirely powered by renewable energy. So the whole like gist of this plant is that it won't be powered by fossil fuels. So the production, everything that Gevo does will not, be a detriment to the environment. That's what I'm trying to say. It'll be completely powered by renewable fuels. And what this plant does is it will also produce fuels like jet fuel and other stuff, and vegetable oil and other smaller products that they will give to these customers in exchange for money. Now, this Net Zero 1 plant is supposed to start at the first half of next year, and it's supposed to go into full production the first half of 2024. So in 2024, all these take-or-pay contracts are going to go into effect, and that's when all the money is supposed to start coming into Gevo. So the whole strategy of Gevo is to, let's go back here. Yeah, buy now when it's cheap, and while Gevo is performing like shit, you buy it now and you hold till 2024, and then that's when presumably all those billions of dollars that are going to come in over the life of these contracts are supposed to come in. And then that's where the money comes in for Gevo, and that's where the money comes in for us. That's the whole point. Now, there is another project which will come into play even earlier, in which we should start seeing some amount of cash even earlier than 2024. This is their renewable natural gas facility that they've already started. Now, as of August, they are on track, and they're expected to go into production early next year. Now, the idea is that they produce renewable natural gas, and this right here is what's supposed to fuel their Net Zero 1 plant. And not only that, but they've already signed a purchase agreement with a little-known company called BP, in which their BP is going to be provided with RNG. Now, I don't have a slide available, but I think I remember them saying that once this goes in production, now this might have changed with their BP thing, that they were expected to bring in, what was it, between 9 and 16 million in cash flow annually. I could be wrong with that, but I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what I read. So the idea is that, once this plant goes online in 2022, we should start really seeing an increase in revenue, and then in 2024, we should start really, really, really seeing an increase in revenue. Now, since then, since this PDF that came out in August, there's been even more news as far as Gevo. Now, let's go right here. Now, this right here, I'm not going to read all this, but the gist of this is that in the first part of Gevo's life publicly, they had this intellectual property dispute with a company called Butamax. Basically, Butamax had a bunch of patents on how to produce and how to sell isobutanol, which was a proponent of making fuel. And like that resolved into this whole thing where Gevo had to pay royalties and all that stuff and licensing and all that crap. Well, as of September 23rd, Gevo now owns all those patents. So Gevo does not have to go to Butamax for anything that it would normally have to go through as far as creating isobutanol certain ways and selling isobutanol certain ways. Now Gevo owns its own future as far as that. So, and this right here, now correct me if I'm wrong, this is stuff that Gevo could use right now with this Luverne facility. And not only that, there's been some more agreements. I'm not gonna, now, let me find this here. I'm not gonna pause, I'm not gonna read this at all, but here's another agreement where ADM and Gevo agree to produce, well, Gevo agrees to produce up to 500 million gallons of sustainable aviation fuel. That's another contract, win for Gevo. Now here's another contract with Chevron, a tiny little company called Chevron, in which Gevo is also going to produce aviation fuel for English. And then we have yet another alliance with a company called Axis, also for aviation fuel. All right, so let me sum up my current opinion on Gevo. So Gevo is a company that has performed like absolute garbage. It's a company that is currently performing like absolute garbage, and I know this, but the whole expectation is that Gevo has everything set up, done all the right things in recent news. Recently, maybe not in the beginning of their life, but Gevo has done all the right things to set themselves up for success going forward. So that right there is, and these are contracts in place too. These aren't like customers showing some interest and stuff. This is money on the table. And so because of that, I think that my current opinion right now is that as long as Gevo puts in their end of the work, as long as there are any delays, as long as, Gevo doesn't do anything stupid, like Gevo, it's money on the table. This is easy money, in my personal opinion. Now, having said that, I mean, Gevo still has to do the work, and Gevo still has to perform. So Gevo hasn't entirely left like my spec stock, designation yet. So I'm not going to do anything stupid like buy Gevo above my cost basis. Like right now, Gevo is like 18%, 20% gains right now. I'm not going to do anything that stupid like buy Gevo that high. However, the shares I have, I'm happy I have it. And if Gevo ever drops below my cost basis, I will be happy to load up on some more. Now, let me go over my expectations. Now, for better or for worse, my expectations for Gevo are low, but starting now, I actually have expectations. Now, we know that if you've been following Gevo, if you've been following my channel, if you've been following the beginning of this video, you know that Gevo has been performing terribly since their Luverne facility has been shut down. And I bought Gevo knowing that their main moneymaker was shut down until June of this year. Now that their Luverne facility is back online, now they have these deals here, these deals here. Now they have all the deals for isobutanol. Now that they own Butamax's patents and stuff, I do have expectations. Now, those expectations, like I said, are really low in that I want Gevo to do better. That's it. I want Gevo to do better. Their year ago sales was 192K, and in their last quarter, they brought in 346K. Now, I just want to see better. That's all I want to see. I want to see some sign that Gevo is starting to perform somewhat better than, last year. So maybe, at least better than 192K, at least better than the low. If it does better than the low, I will be very, very happy. And if Gevo actually does better than 346, what is that? If Gevo approaches the highs, that'll be fantastic. And then other than that, the only other thing I want to hear is that they're on track with the RNG facility and that they're on track with the net zero plant. Other than that, as long as we don't get any other negative surprises, I will be happy with this earnings call. But anyways, take care, have a great day, and eat your vegetables.